Hi, Bhuvan, everyone. We have a very special guest, Jenny from US, and I was looking forward to this meeting because uh, most of my YouTube videos were confined to speakers in our country, Sri Lanka. But in the last couple of months, I was able to reach out to a few non-dual speakers. So this is a result of that effort, you see. So I'm very thankful to Jenny for agreeing to speak to
Yeah.
us because, the moment they become popular, it's very difficult to catch hold of them. I mean, it's not their fault.
That's
Yeah, it's
funny.
a usual thing. But Jenny, let me start with the question because you see now, Jenny now and Jenny before. Before you had someone call me and myself and someone inside your body before. And now you are everything. Uh, like this is what is happening and this is what you say. Now, where did that shift occur?
Yeah. So it's so funny because awakening is actually the recognition that there never was a me to wake up. It's like the death of a story that never happened, and just like an obviousness that this is timeless. There is no time for an event to occur in. And so, yeah, the past never happened, but it's a story that's arising new now. Like it's even memory is just new information from emptiness, just infinite potential arising. So yeah, I'll summarize the story of Jenny. So when she was little, her dad was an existentialist who was studying Jean Paul Sartre, Being in Nothingness, and was reading it to her when she was like 7 years old. And then the mom was a healer who I was watching miraculous healings, like a kid with a brain tumor going back to the doctor, and it was never, they didn't understand what had happened because it was like it didn't happen. And so there was lots of magical stuff happening at a young age, and just kind of questioning things. And um, I don't know, there was just little glimpses that happened when I was little that where I felt like everything, or that this wasn't real, but then it would kind of be covered back up. Um, and then there was, just kind of as she got older, there was like some myth busting happening, some intellectual deep diving happening, kind of like would have debates with people, and no one could win because there would be this spontaneous, I called it freshly juiced mind fuck that would just come out of nowhere, that would just turn everything inside out and upside down, and there was nothing to be said. So fun stuff like that seemed to appear. And then was spiritual, was seeing synchronicities or something, or like thinking that there was something more to this, but there was no really hardcore seeking. Like there wasn't trying to be enlightened, or I didn't know about the term non-duality. Um, and then fast forward through the story in 2017. Oh, there was also a question somewhere in there that was like, what was I before I was born? And all I could get was nothing, because it was just empty. And then I was like, well, why wouldn't I still be nothing? Like, how could I be something? So there was just those little seeds. Um, so then 2017 went through some kind of depression where I was just like disgusted with this world. I was like, there is no way in hell this is real. It would self destruct, like it would be doomed. Like, there's no way this is real. And, like just watching people like seek pleasure, push away pain, and work all day and then die. And I was like, there's got to be something more to this. Like, something's up, something's off. And so then you fast forward to the story. 2018, my best friend and I were having a conversation with some other girls at the time, and my best friend Bubbles said, nothing exists outside of the mind. The universe is mental. She said something like that, and there was like chill bumps on the spine kind of thing. It was like something resonated with that, even though it's evolved into something different, apparently, but it was just like an opening was happening. And then there was a reading Alan Watts' book, The Book, and there was a page where he said, "You are God playing hide and seek with itself in an appearance, appearing as everybody, everything, pretending to hide and by being everything or something." And there was the chill bumps again happening. It was like, oh my God, what is that? And so then I was riding in the car with my best friend. She was driving. We had the kids in the back of the van running errands, just totally ordinary. And she was talking about something, and all of a sudden I had a glimpse, and there was no one there. It was so vast and expansive. I mean, I can't even explain really what had happened because there was no one there. But like afterwards, this is what I came up with. It was almost as if nothing saw itself or something, or the infinite saw everything. I don't know what it,
you
but
saw
it
it as a
was
dream?
very.
You saw it as a dream or
No,
something
it
you
wasn't a dream. No, it was it's a glimpse where you're just it's almost like the natural reality is just like I mean, you are nothing appearing as everything. You are the absolute, pretending to be relative. So it was like all of a sudden I wasn't there. There was no one, there was no person, there was no I am. Um it was nothing and everything, and it was vast and huge and unconditional love. It was just, you know, too infinite to even describe. And it only lasted a few seconds, and it looked like I was having a seizure. She pulled over and was like, "What the hell happened?" And I couldn't talk. I was laughing and crying at the same time. And then after that, it was full blown liberation, and I had no fucking clue what had happened. I even looked it up on Google, like what had happened, and it said spontaneous enlightenment. And I was like, why did that happen to me? It's so random. It's so random because it is random. It's totally uncaused, just like a car driving by. It's impersonal. It's, or like the stomach growling or a yawn. It just happens. I mean, there's no, it's involuntary. There's no one doing it, you know. And just like a dream at night where it's just happening and there's no control, there's no doer, there's no one doing anything. It's just doing itself, basically. So it was 4 months, and this is a very unusual, I haven't heard this before. Let me just go ahead and say that this is kind of an extreme case, you could say, because it did seem like an explosion and an instant shift. It was not the gradual one, because usually you hear an instant or a gradual, but you hear more of the gradual. And so there was such a contrast that it felt like ecstasy. I mean, it was very intense, and there was no self-consciousness. The character was wild. She just, it was just total freedom. Couldn't have a fear, no separation. It was clear that the past had never happened. It was very ethereal. It was like it had, that it was all just energy, all just one balanced energy. One of the first things that was said after that initial shift was, "We are all one, and this is just for fun." Literally, there's no meaning to this. Like, there's no meaning. And and then there was 4 months of like a feeling of bliss, or like a, you know. And this is so beautiful that this appeared to happen, which didn't really happen, but it's, I can explain things now because
mm,
I
mm,
can see what happened. So, okay, so there was that ecstasy. And what happened was there was still a residual me in there grabbing onto the ecstasy that was clinging onto it and wanted to keep it. When this is infinite potential, one energy appearing as a soup of all qualities, including sadness and pain and everything, not just ecstasy. And that's the game of hide and seek, is that
mm,
resisting what is and saying, this isn't it, but that's it. That's the
yes,
duality. That's the polarity.
mm,
So what happened was apparently um, it became normal. Maybe there was a more normal feeling and not like an ecstasy feeling. And I was like, oh my God, where's the ecstasy? Where did it go? And that's when the seeking started. And it was like, oh my God, I gotta find the ecstasy. I gotta find that again. So then it was like hardcore obsessed. Like it was over the top, studying every Advaita
mm,
text, reading every master of the masters, books, and freaking studying every philosophy and quantum physics and all of it. I mean, it was just hardcore to where it was like at least 6 hours a day where people couldn't mess with me because I had to be doing meditation and rituals, and which is a beautiful comedy because it's the beloved that's already free looking for the beloved that's already free. And even the looking is freedom, and it's like the Ouroboros that's swallowing itself. It's like the
mm.
looking is it, the seeker is the sought, it's and you can't get outside of what is to become it. So there is no path to be all there is because you are already all there is. You can't get outside of everything to be separate from it. But it was just that veil of resisting what is, which was saying, this, it's not the ecstasy, is not it. And I need to go find the ecstasy in the
Mm.
future, which is why seeking is futile, because it's like the hamster wheel of going nowhere. And
But let
so,
me ask you,
yeah,
the seeking of awakening or seeking of enlightenment is similar to seeking uh, money or some
yes,
comfort in life. Yeah, it's the same
totally. It's the
seeking,
same
right?
thing. It's the same thing. And what's beautiful about seeking is the only way that you, as the formless that's not real, can pretend that you exist. Seeking. That is that is a beautiful, novel way to avoid your own absence, which you are already absent. So that just can appear to postpone realizing that you don't exist, seeking.
So
And
so
so,
so you are now you are revealing
oh,
your
yeah.
experience and work. Yeah, but then now, do you feel that same thing that you felt sometime back
Mm-hmm.
before you went on to
Yes.
study the
Mm-hmm.
do
The
you
ecstasy.
feel the same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not always intense. So it can be, for example, a couple hours or something, intense ecstasy, and then it's
Oh,
normal, or then sadness can arise or whatever. But there's always a subtle in loveness because it's not real and it's not, and I'm not separate from it. And you're all of it, which is not even happening. You are and you aren't, is and isn't, because you're singular, so you don't exist. You'd have to be two to exist. So whatever's happening is just unconditional love arising as whatever's happening. But yeah, so fast forward through that story of hardcore seeking, there got to be a point where it was exhausted and it was like something's wrong, something's up with self inquiry, something's missing.
mm,
Um, there can't be a practice to be all there is, basically, is what was coming up. And it was like then that's when Tony showed up on my YouTube.
oh,
um and that was it. That was it. It was just too obvious. And that part appeared to be gradual, so it maybe took a couple of months, um apparently, in the story. And that was almost like the slower death appearing as
mm,
like some grief or like some and then there would be like I was leaving to run an errand one day, and I was about to walk out of the house, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, it was so obvious there was no me and I don't exist. It was like nothing seeing itself as nothing, um or nothing seeing itself as everything, or the infinite seeing itself. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was so obvious there was no me, and it was just a story. The whole life, the whole past didn't happen. There's just this, like quantum physics, like a snapshot of everything. This is everything, and nothing else happened before this, and this is empty. This is nothingness, because adding up everything cancels itself out to zero. It's nothing. So there
And
was
Jenny,
that.
let me, yeah, let me ask you now, what prevents a person who doesn't know anything about this non-duality or any spirituality for that matter? Uh, you believe that you are a self, that there is someone inside this body. You believe that mainly because of two reasons. One is there is a time factor that I am here and I grow older. And the people whom I look around, they also grow old at the same time. If I look at a tree, which I planted some years ago, now it has grown. So there is this time factor, which makes everything real or appear to be real. Then there
Mm-hmm.
is space. There's space between you and me. There's space between, in this and me. Now, when you speak about this, or if I may call oneness, or it's just one appearance, do you think the language fails? Language cannot describe what you really want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that the case?
Yeah, because this is the wordless appearing as words. The unknown that can't be known, pointing to that which can't be known with relative words. So it's the absolute appearing as relative. So it's the same. It's the same. So the words are it, but all words are it, including a negative thought or a what I'm eating for dinner tonight is the same boundless energy appearing as words, just as infinite, just as everything, everything appearing. And the time, the way that I explain time is like that resisting what is the pretend veil of separation. So it's like that fear of me versus the world, and the world appears real. And it's kind of like saying like what's appearing to happen, which is not really happening, and nothing else happened before this, is like a single frame in the projector, you could say, like in a movie projector. So it's single frame. There's nothing before, nothing after, nothing behind anywhere else other. But that veil of realness can make the person attached to this as an event that's happening to me, and then it kind of glues together the film strip with meaning, which makes it a movie. So it's like this, what's appearing to happen, which is appearing and disappearing, it's not really happening, it's timeless, can be put into a film strip called My Life, which is a movie that didn't happen. And so that's how I see how time is. It's just attaching to all of these, which even the memory of a past is an immediate new idea arising from emptiness now. It's not an event that happened in the past. So it's new. There was no me. There was no my life. I was never born. No one was. No one ever did anything.
Jenny, this is upside down.
Yeah.
I mean, what you are saying, it challenges everything,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is revealed by the science, and quantum physics, and you name it, it's all challenged. Now, this when you say appearance, now, I mean, and this question may look stupid, right? But I will
Mm-hmm.
still ask you now. This appearance, now, this is my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and when I touch, I feel the hardness of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and then let me ask the second question. Then I keep the phone. So now the story that I took the phone, I felt the hardness, and now I put it back. So now there's a sequence. Something happened. Now, in your explanation, it was a sequence of all new appearances.
Hmm.
How would you like to describe that? I mean, for the benefit of the
Yeah.
viewers. Yeah.
Well, okay, so we'll go with the solid first. Okay, so if you're holding the phone and it appears solid, what is it what is solid when you take away the sense of touch? It's nothing. There is nothing solid. So the solid is the sense of touch. So I see the senses as like the Gnostic Gospels called the senses paradise. And it's almost like an interface to where nothing can experience something, which is energy. It's not, um, if you hold an object and you take away all senses, including thought and emotion, you have nothing.
Mm,
And there's not even a hand holding it. There's nothing.
mm,
So it's like the senses are the way that the beloved makes love to itself through being everything. So the senses are being. So like sound is not me hearing the sound, it's hearing is the sound. So hearing music is being music, and it's alive and it's happening now, and it's immediately in love, with everything, making love with everything, pretty much. No separation. And then so everything's immediate. So holding the phone is everything. Is everything. There's nothing before, nothing after. Is everything. And it's like changeless appearing to change or something when like putting down the phone didn't happen because holding the phone didn't happen. It's just this immediately, this what's appearing to happen immediately, which is everything, and nothing happened before this. And even this isn't happening. So there's literally nothing to hold on to. I mean,
So, so in whose interest the continuation takes place, or appearance of a continuation? In whose interest? If it's a story, of course, it's a story, but then it's not real. And then uh, why is it so?
mm-hmm.
So are you suggesting that there's no one to know that? There's no one to
Yeah,
explain that?
because you are the unknown, so you can't know. So I like to use the example of, and this is just for fun, just a story. But if you imagine being the only one in the world, first of all, there wouldn't be a world, and there wouldn't be the only one.
Oh yeah,
But if you
that's a beautiful.
imagine that, yeah, if you imagine it just for fun, you wouldn't know what you were because you wouldn't have anything to contrast or to refer to or reference point to compare yourself to. So it's almost like that which can't be seen appearing as that which can be seen is seeing itself through a mirror of illusion to feel itself in a way. Like, how else would you be formless and but also at the same time there's no cause, you're singular, you don't exist, and you're infinite. Why would you need to do anything? You don't
Yeah.
need to wake up from the dream, you don't need to dream this, you don't need to imagine this, you don't need anything, you're needless. And so that's why Jenny says it's just for fun, and all of this is just a story too. There's no facts, there's no, because if there is meaning, there would be infinite meaning, which would cancel itself out to zero, no meaning. And you're singular, so there's no, you'd have to get outside of everything to have meaning or purpose. So it's very playful, um and not really happening. No one's doomed, or it's just not real.
Then it is playful, but it is very painful as well because there is suffering. And how would you? I mean, like there's physical suffering and there's mental suffering,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, what you are saying might liberate from this, this holding someone inside you, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But the suffering Now, is it also that hide and seek game, or how would you?
Yeah, because you're the infinite dreaming this, you could say. So it's not really happening. And you're untouched and untainted. You're not in the body. There's actually no body. So there's no one suffering. It's not really happening. There's no world. Everything is just a belief or notion, and no one's ever known anything. Knowledge is just relative speculation that changes, is malleable, it's not permanent, and it varies from body to body based on past conditioning that never happened. And so that's just clinging. Beliefs are just spontaneous
Hmm.
thoughts that are arising as new, being attached to as my thought, and that's my belief. But there is no knowledge, there is no meaning, nothing actually makes sense. It's total chaos, but it appears in order. So like that single frame and the projector, which is everything, makes no sense without the reference to the past frames and the
Really?
projector.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Now,
is
now,
the
Jenny,
which is the hmm.
yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Which is
Oh, that's just
you.
the it's just the beauty of the imagination abstracting ideas, which is so beautiful, because how else as the formless would you have pretended to be in form or have a
Yeah.
life, or like
Hmm.
without the veil of resisting what is and seeking other, which made it seem real. And you felt like you really had a life, you had a family, when all of
So
that's
it's
just an
like
idea.
so it's
Yeah.
like a huge magic show,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a magician, and the same magician is getting fooled. Yeah, something. I
And there's
don't
no
know.
magician, and there's no
And
magician.
yeah,
That's the biggest mind fuck of all. It's like a movie playing in a theater with empty seats, like no one's there, no one's watching it.
okay. If I tell you, yes, I see you, or I see what you are saying intellectually. Yes, I understand intellectually, but not
Mm-hmm.
experientially. How would you respond?
Well, I see it. Okay, so there's no cause and effect. So the words are singular. Okay, thoughts, it's very obvious that thoughts are coming from emptiness. You can't even find where a thought came from. It's spontaneous, coming from nowhere, disappears back into nowhere, and then you can't even find what's listening to it. It's empty. There's nothing listening to thoughts. So same, and it's singular. So a thought is everything and has nothing to do with what appears to happen. There's no power, there's no authority, there's no creator or source. It's just appearing energy, boundless, infinite, absolute, appearing as thoughts, ideas, singular. So that's everything. So this message is singular, is everything, and it has nothing to do with what's appearing to happen. So if someone's resonating with this message, it's already awakening, happening, already done. Like it's not affected by, even though it appears in the story that it was gradual, even the story that was just told about Jenny that didn't happen, it was seen very clearly that nothing happened. The whole past didn't happen. So even finding this message that seemed to slowly kill Jenny didn't even happen. It's everything spontaneous and uncaused. So even this message that appears to shoot holes and dissolve beliefs and concepts and meaning, where it's just left naked, as, oh my gosh, I don't exist, um, is all singular. So it's like, if someone's resonating with this message, it's because awakening is already done.
Hmm.
It's already done. Yeah.
Jenny, now this appearance, if I may call it an appearance. Now, the one of the things which makes this appearance looks real is because there is an obvious correlation. One leads to another, another one leads to another. There's the cause and effect. But what you are saying is that, that is the kind of illusion, because
It is,
I mean
yeah.
you can't catch
Hmm.
the illusion because it's illusory. So
Yeah.
it therefore it looks like a cause and effect. Every effect there is a cause, but of course it's not so.
Hmm. Yeah, no time, singular, so you don't exist. You'd have to have two to exist and to have time and to have subject object and to have an event be real. Um, so yeah, there's no time. That I mean, there's just this, which you could also say um, beingness, but
Ah,
I don't even use that word a lot too because that can be tricky because there's no substance, there's no entity, there's no literally nothing. This is nothing happening, which can't even be explained.
another question. It just again may look like a stupid question. Now you go before a mirror and then you look at yourself and then you see. And then 10 years ago, it was not the same you because you appeared younger. And perhaps in another 2 years' time, I may look older. Now that's a story. Obviously, it's a story. Isn't that what strengthened the illusion by bringing in this time factor? Because when I used the word time, I was not exactly referring to the clock time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's the assumed time. Yes, there was a duration in which the, for instance, aging of a person happens. You see,
Mm-hmm.
and it everything makes it real because the medical science will say, well, this is how the lifespan takes place, and this is a human body, and this is how the
Mm-hmm.
body works. And then you grow older, and one day this body will collapse. Then you get into the usual story. Now,
Mm-hmm.
my question is, when someone listens to you, an audience of this, they will say, I would like to have her experience. Well, that seems to be blissful, and you have no problems thereafter. Everything is, okay, everything is. Now, it is a futile, or isn't it a futile thing for you to uh, tell such a person who is asking this question, I want to experience what you experience? I mean, you have no answer, do you?
Yeah, and also you already are because you already are all there is already, and you can't get outside of what is to be separate or to change it or to become it. You already are it. You already are
Hmm.
everything. You are the absolute appearing as bodies, chairs, cars, aging, all of that. It's the absolute relative. It's the same. So it's can't be separate. It's the absolute formless that can't be known, pretending to experience or feel itself through sensations of being everything. So like whatever you're seeing, it's not my eyesight, me seeing something. It's being whatever's seen pretty much. It's just like the senses are the being, which is and isn't because it's just an appearance. And the senses are not happening. It's nothing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I would say for that other part to that question is whatever you're feeling right now is everything you're longing for, is it, even if it's the thought that this is not it, even if it's the
mm,
feeling, the contracted energy of I'm separate, that's it. That's everything. That is the beloved. That is the infinite. Yeah,
that's beautiful
whatever's
because
happening.
it's everything. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
everything,
you can't
including
escape
even
it.
the thought. Yeah, yeah,
You can't escape freedom. You are freedom itself and you are liberation. And there is no enlightenment because everything is enlightenment. Everything, everyone is already enlightened. Everyone, totally.
it's to me, if you are to kind of describe it in words, it's like taking a step back and back and back, and then
Mm-hmm.
seeing the totality. I felt that it was, something. Yeah, it's you can't even say I see this. It's probably seeing. or
Mm-hmm.
seeing through or something like that.
Yeah, it's
And
just a recognition, like it's an energetic, um, I mean, and everyone knows this. I mean, not knows it as in like knowledge or, but energetically, because you are the infinite. Yeah.
this is little beyond our subject. Now, if you look at some of the old scriptures, even in Buddhist teachings, in there are discourses, you find these words formless appearing as form. I mean, if you look at
Mm-hmm.
the Heart Sutra, for instance, and
Yeah.
this philosophy had been written somewhere long time ago. And now it's a bit paradox that now these words are now heard from another part of the world and not where it had originated. I mean, these are stories. I mean, I have to say, not where it has originated from. It's
Mm-hmm.
a kind of a, I see it as a paradox. But now it looks like now most of the non-dual speakers they relate their origin to somehow Tony. At some point of time, say, well, I heard him and that's it. And then, you know,
The Terminator.
matches
Yeah.
matches. Oh, I have spoken to him myself. I have spoken to him
Awesome.
some years ago. Yeah, over the phone. And then I took part in some of the discussions in Newman and Kenneth
Mm-hmm.
Madden, trying to
Yay. I
grasp. But
love all of
now,
them. All of them are amazing. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and Jenny, now the message becomes clearer to me because I think the new generation like you, I mean you can probably explain it better because Tony wouldn't care less. Tony just says it and then you take it or leave it, and that's Tony's style.
Yeah.
But when you said even the thought that looks for freedom is part of the game, and that's very
Yeah.
powerful.
Oh, it
There's a lot
is.
of power in.
That's yeah, that's what happened here apparently in the story is when it was seen by no one that it's literally everything, that the seeking is it, the longing is it, the
Mm,
longing is the beloved, is everything. And even the feeling this isn't it, or the doubt this can't be it, is it. It was like game over. There's no, it's kind of like the resistance of a slingshot, pulling back resistance because resisting what is saying this isn't it, which is postponing it or the duality or the polarity of, the absolute is here and the relative is here. But then when there's no resistance and it's seen that the absolute is the relative and there is no separation, it's like that tantric union of everything collapses into everything and it's just all of it, even everything that you resisted, even is just unconditional love, just making love to its non self through all of these infinite qualities, which include sadness, pain, all the stuff that
mm,
was resisted or pushed away. And that's kind of like even in the Bible, where it's a little bit backwards because it says the sin, well, first of all, the definition of sin is to miss the mark, like the slingshot hitting the point. um
mm,
and then they listed these deadly sins, which it's hilarious because that's the hide and seek game. Shaming those behaviors is saying that's not it, but this over here is it, and that's the whole seeking game of practice or moral
mm.
codes of good and bad and needing to be some different way in order to be enlightened or whatever.
Meditation,
And yeah,
meditation,
all of it,
going
it's
into
just
retreats.
yeah, and it's all just a cute little me scam, which is just avoiding your own absence for fun because there's no, it's just play. But what's so funny is it's reversed with that whole sin thing. It's basically the sin is seeing the deadly sins as a sin. Because
Yeah.
when you see the deadly sins as everything, as the absolute, as the beloved, then there's no resistance. Then everything's allowed to be and just be and be free. It's almost like those were little kids on the playground that were being left out from recess. And now everything gets to play at recess. It's like permanent recess.
Yeah.
So then when there's no me, it's like a baby seeing everything as the single frame, nothing before, nothing after, just immediate in loveness and intimacy. So it's no separation. So like, like seeing the wall is being the wall, being the room, whatever's appearing, there's no separation. But also like everything's allowed to be free and play because there's no one. So sadness can happen and it just gets over, it just happens, no reason, no cause, and there's no one there to say, why is this happening? Is this because I had a past life that was awful or that I got abused when I was a child? There's no more working it out because there's none of that happened. So it's just like sadness comes over. There can still be a subtle and loveness with it because it's just no separation. And then anger can arise. It's just like a kid. It's just like, or an animal. It's just spontaneous and it's done and it didn't happen.
Right. Now, Jenny, in this understanding or recognition, actually, there's something good that happened. I mean, I wouldn't call it good, but it's something beyond right and wrong, something beyond good and bad, because that's a play. No, no. If you, for instance, now if I were you, for instance, I wouldn't probably see anyone, being right and wrong because it's something, yeah, something beyond that. But don't you think that itself is some kind of a liberation because you don't have any judgment? See, in this, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not referring to the person, but the
Mm-hmm.
judgment. But of course, in your version, the judgment also can happen in this play. Yeah, judgment
Yeah.
can also happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because everything's free. Everything's allowed
Mm,
to be, and nothing's resisting it. There's no me. And there never was a me. That's the joke. It's like there never
mm,
was anything in the body, just
mm,
like the neuroscientists that figured out that there's no individual, that the body goes to get a glass of water and then 7 seconds
mm,
later delay, I got
mm,
the glass of water. The body's just on autopilot already, kind of like like the dream at night where it's just spontaneously happening. There's no one controlling it. There's no scripts. There's no destiny. There's no point. Um, so it does whatever. So it still has preferences, because it's the absolute appearing as relative. So there is, you know, it appears that there's unique qualities, even though it's infinite qualities, like a soup of all qualities that can change or be anything. It's not bound or limited, but there can still be, preferences, but it's not real. It's empty. So there's no identification with it or um, boxing it in, to this is me or this is the way things should be. There's no should and shouldn't. There's no why. There's no question. There's no um so yeah, everything's just free to play and not taken personally.
I just noticed that in throughout this discussion, you didn't use these words, mind or consciousness, or you were not referring to those terminologies, even in
Yeah.
your attempt to explain.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because in the story that didn't happen, there was studying Advaita, which did use the terms impersonal awareness and Pada Brahman and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But with this uncompromising message, it kind of can be tricky to use that because the self consciousness is
Mm,
basically is the infinite trying to look at the infinite, which can't be done. Like it just can't be. There really is no self consciousness. Um, and when there's no I, it's just uninhibited.
mm,
There's no need to try to look at it or because there's nothing to figure out. It's nothing. So I don't use those as much, but it doesn't matter what word you use. You could call it God, you can call it impersonal awareness, you can call it consciousness, you can call it anything. Because it is everything, and it's all just one boundless, immutable energy. It's all unchanging energy appearing as unique qualities that can appear to change, or yeah.
And I also noticed that you didn't use this word now, being in the now. This is the
Mm-hmm.
only moment you have, because you can get caught, because the moment you say this moment, you
Yeah,
you tend to hold it as
time.
a moment. Mhm.
Yeah, time. And then there can be resisting any other feeling, or, oh my gosh, I'm having thoughts again. I need to be silent, or like,
Mhm. Yeah.
or I need to stay in this moment. Like, there's no such thing. Everything is pretending to be passing or transient, or it's ethereal. It's not solid. It's it's not continuous, and there's no time. It's singular, but it's also it's also everything. So it's like it includes everything, and the hide and seek game can be very clever with avoiding
Yeah.
certain
Indeed.
sensations,
Indeed.
thoughts, feelings. Yeah, when the thoughts, sensations, feelings are what you're looking for, you know, even if it's the negative one, or
Yeah.
the tons of thoughts or whatever, the chatter, that is it. That is the
Mhm.
infinite. Yeah.
Right. Jenny, I mean, I don't want to hold you, because I think something is coming out of this. I mean, it resonates here. So
Yeah.
there's no reason why it doesn't resonate elsewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
my last question is, um, um, like, isn't this like, or would you identify this as a liberation? Because that's the end of seeking anyway.
Yeah, I would say that everything is liberation, so there is no liberation. So it's like this is the absolute formless that can't be known, appearing as everything. And so already infinite, no purpose, no meaning, doesn't exist. So nothing needs to be done, nothing, no one needs to wake up, nothing needs to be changed. It's absolute perfection. Everything that's happening, that's appearing to happen, is everything. It's like everything is everything. Even, like a
Not
pile of
not
hmm,
not not being able to recognize this reality is also liberation, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's free, it's total freedom. You can't escape freedom. I mean, even with the analogy, which is just a story, all of this is just stories that, I mean, because there's nothing else to, no other way to communicate except for in stories or ideas, which is just spontaneously arising from nothing as nothing. But even the story of being the infinite, dreaming this, you are the infinite. That, I mean, none of this is real. None of this is really happening. And you don't need to wake up. You don't need to, even in the pretend game of hide and seek, you don't need to find anything. You're overflowingly so infinite and so abundant that you don't need anything. You're already totally free. Everything's free. Everything's freedom. And so there's no
Right.
escaping freedom. There's no liberation because everything's already liberated. And there is no
Uh,
me.
it-
There never has been a me to liberate. There's no individual. There's no I am that you could
hmm.
even get rid of because it never happened. It's just
Yeah, because I mean, even to say that I want to liberate myself, I mean, it's a bit of a joke,
yeah.
even if you try to be. All right, Ginny, I'm very grateful for this time that you gave us,
Yay. That was
for the
amazing.
people in this country, and
Yay.
we are very thankful to you for being able to make this happen, at least so that the message will spread, and it will resonate. I mean, that's the best I even I
Yeah.
could say.
Yeah,
So once again, I'm very thankful, and we are hoping to connect with you in the future as well.
definitely. Yay. Keep in touch. Much love. Mwah.
Uh, yeah,
Thank you so much.
thanks a lot indeed. Hang on a minute.
Okay.